pirate's life is a wonderful life, for roving over the sea. Give me a career as a buccaneer, it's the life of a pirate for me. Oh, the life of a pirate for me.
Alrighty, welcome to the After Hours radio broadcast / podcast, as you want to call it. And I am joined in studio by none other than my longtime close personal friend, none other than Captain David Forktongue.
Ahoy, mate!
Ahoy there, Captain David. So, unbelievable. You are one of the hippest pirates in the world. Is that not true?
That is very true.
Now, give us the 4-on-1 on Captain David Forktongue.
Well, I have been a pirate for many years. And as a pirate, I am very proud of my life in piracy. And I like to tell people stories of my own life as a pirate, which is very interesting because treasure, let me tell you, is not all gold and silver, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean there, Captain David. Now, let's be perfectly clear. Piracy, you're not bootlegging songs or anything like that, are you?
Oh, not at all.
You're talking about pirates sailing the seven seas type of stuff.
That I am.
All right, just want to make that perfectly clear out there, the FCC, that you're not pirating anything, you know.
Oh, shh.
No, we won't talk about that right here. But you like to educate the world on the history of pirates.
That is correct.
Now, a lot of people just think of pirates of what they see in the motion pictures, kind of like what you saw in Pirates of the Caribbean, or the really bad Hook with Dustin Hoffman that came out about 20 years ago.
Oh, don't talk to me about Peter Pan. I don't like that story.
We don't care about Peter Pan. Now, what's some of your favorite pirate stories, other than the ones about yourself? Well, now, obviously, you weren't born into piracy, were you?
No, I was not.
Now, what got you involved in being a pirate?
Well, like many other people who turned to piracy, I was once, and I hope you don't have a boo thing in this studio that's going to make people boo me. I was once working for the government at sea.
Uh-oh, you're working for the government at sea, huh?
That is correct.
Uh-oh.
But I craved the freedom in the open air of piracy. So after a little incident that took place with the captain's wife, which I won't go into too much detail.
Little wench, huh?
Oh, yes, she was. She was
really?
more than a little wench.
You got
I'll
a
tell you
number?
that much. Well, we don't have phone numbers in the open sea.
Oh, that is true. That is right. Over there. What do you send? Like, what do you actually do? You smoke signals or something?
Well, smoke signals or just get people's attention when they're passing by, especially if they're government ships. We fire cannons at them.
What about parrots?
Parrots, yes. Parrots do help. We can rely on our parrots to deliver messages.
I saw that episode of Gilligan's Island when they had like those messenger pigeons.
Oh, yes. I'm not that fond of pigeons. They're kind of gross.
Too much droppings everywhere.
Oh, yes. And let me point out that if a bird does you-know-what on you, it really does not equal good luck.
Yeah, I heard about that when I was a kid hanging out down at the Jersey Shore down there. You know, if a seagull did a droppings on you, all my uncles go, oh, that's a great luck. What are you talking about? I got bird poop on me. That ain't lucky.
That's true. Although you do adjust to it in pirate life because, you know, you really don't often have time to take a bath, and when you do...
Even though you have an ocean in front of you.
Well, you're not always guaranteed the water's clear.
Well, that's true. The sharks and everything are there as well.
Well, the sharks and, you know, all the waste that goes in from all the little creatures.
And all the hypodermic needles that are floating down on, say, like Revere Beach.
Oh, yes. I've sailed through there myself.
Have you?
Oh, yes. No comment.
That's where the Colonel bathes.
That's true.
And it reaches the seven seas. But getting back to this, educating the world about pirates. So we were talking about your history as a pirate.
Well, my history as a pirate, yes, there was a little goings-on between myself and the captain's wife.
That's right.
And he gave orders that I was to be executed on the morrow. Now,
on the what? On the what?
On the morrow. It is sea terms for the word tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Too lazy to say two?
Well, yes. And it sounds so much cooler.
It is, yeah. Executed on the morrow.
Oh, yes. Executed on the morrow by hanging.
Oh, really?
But the morrow came, and I was nowhere to be found.
Where'd you go?
That's my secret. And I don't reveal that.
Well, you did work for the government.
Well, yes. That is true.
Unbelievable.
But years later, I was seen on another ship. But this ship, I was the captain, and flying that ship under a flag of piracy.
Unbelievable there. Now, the pirate flag there, what is that, the skull and the bones there?
Sometimes.
Wasn't George W. Bush involved in Skull and Bones?
George Bush Well, not to offend anybody, but George Bush is probably the reason. If he was alive way back in the day, he'd probably be the reason most people would turn to piracy.
And John Kerry was in there as well.
Well, that too.
Unbelievable. But yeah, you've sailed the seven seas. Now you've had some interesting stories. Give us some of your give us your best pirate story.
My best pirate story. Well, there was one particular story that I do like to tell. A lot of people often wonder. Now, they enjoy piracy, but they don't know where it started.
Where did it start from?
The pirate movement started, especially here in New England, with a man named Dixie Bull.
Dixie Bull.
Now, Dixie Bull was a fur trader by trade. Now, keep in mind that outside of New England, piracy had been going on for years in places like Europe, the Caribbean. Dixie Bull, upon returning from one of his sea voyages, got attacked by a band of French pirates.
Uh-oh.
They beat him and robbed him and took him and left him for dead. And when he came to, he was embittered and angry, and then decided, well, that's not a bad way to make a living.
There you go.
So he himself turned to piracy and made his profit robbing trading ships and trading posts around the New England area. Because he was a fur trader, he knew where to make a profit. One of the more smarter pirates, I might add.
Unbelievable. That's fascinating. A little bit of history there. Now, did he have an eye patch or anything?
Dixie Bull did not wear an eye patch. Let me explain a little bit to you about where that came from. If a pirate, like myself, goes into battle, and I come back and I have a hand or an arm chopped off, or a leg chopped off, or an eye poked out, oftentimes that's where the eye patches, the hooks for hands, and the peg legs came in. And let me point out as well that if you came back missing one of these body parts, you got an extra bonus in the pirate treasure.
Wow, it's like a pirate code of honor?
Yes.
Rite of passage?
It's called the Articles.
The Articles.
You're supposed to sign the Articles upon joining the crew, and it is stated that the captain gets his share first, which is basically whatever he wants.
Uh-huh.
But he distributes the rest evenly around the crew. Now, if you do come back missing an eye, a hand, or a foot, or anything like that, even an arm, you do get an extra bonus because you've shown your bravery. So I must say that pirates were the original inventors of workers' compensation.
Unbelievable. Now, what if you just had scurvy as a pirate?
Scurvy as a pirate?
Yeah.
You mean as if you would chop off your own hand yourself just to
No,
get an extra?
you had all your extremities still there, but you just had a bad case of scurvy. Do you still get the bonus?
Oh, probably not.
Really?
And I will admit, I've known some members on my crew, though, I will point out, and you know who you are if you're listening, that, went out into the woods with their sword and tried to chop off their own hand.
Self-inflicted pirate wounds.
Ah, yes.
Unbelievable.
Yes. Now, although that's bravery, it does not get you an extra bonus.
It doesn't get you the pirate bonus out there. That's fascinating stuff out there. No, I didn't know about this guy. This what was his name again?
Dixie Bull.
Dixie Bull, not Dixie Bull, Montana.
No, not
I wonder if
Dixie.
he's a relative. I'll have to ask the colonel that.
Well, perhaps, although I take it back. Well, wait a minute. It's never been proven what I'm about to share with you.
Oh, okay. Breaking news here.
Well, Dixie Bull, on one of his sea voyages, saw a ship, and he attacked the ship and was about to make it his flagship.
Okay.
And he demanded the captain of that ship sail him to the way to Virginia. Now, Dixie Bull refused, and the two men got in a fierce battle. They fought back and forth and back and forth. And then eventually, it was said that the captain of the ship drove his sword into Dixie's heart.
Unbelievable.
And killed him.
Poor Dixie.
And the only other words that were spoken in Dixie Bull's name were the first line of a poem which read, "A pirate's flag and anchor pull. Dan Curtis killed your Dixie Bull."
Unbelievable.
Leading people to believe that man, Dan Curtis, murdered Dixie Bull. However, it has never been proven. There are many people who believe that Dixie Bull joined up with a band of French pirates and that he wrote that poem himself just to keep himself off the most wanted list.
So basically, he retired to old Paris out there, and he could be living in the Eiffel Tower for all we know.
Perhaps, Perhaps he is. If you see anybody with long hair, a beard, and a fur coat, that could be Dixie Bull, although that...
Or it could be Sasquatch.
Well, that too.
You never know.
And let me point out, too, that man Dan Curtis they talked about is not the man who wrote Dark Shadows.
Okay, yeah. And Johnny Depp played a pirate, coincidentally. He was in the new Dark Shadows movie.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he was.
It's all relative there.
Well, it pirates, vampires, yeah, it does blend in. And I will admit, I've seen my fair share of what I think are ghosts out there on the open sea.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Who are you going to call?
Well, if we can call anybody, hopefully we can call the Ghostbusters, but it's kind of hard to call anybody at sea.
Well, now, especially with no cell service out there.
Well, in cases like that, I usually just have another swig of rum, and then
Oh, really?
and then they usually go away.
You and South Boston Jeff would get along very well.
I'm sure we would.
Now, now we're talking about motion picture pirates, because that's what everybody's famous for. Everybody knows about them. Now, who do you think was the greatest motion picture pirate of all time?
Oh, that's a tough question. Well, I will admit that some of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies I find very interesting. The first one and the last one that came out were very good.
Were they accurate?
The first one was pretty accurate. I must say the last one that came out on Stranger Tide had quite a bit of accuracy to it.
Okay.
And I must say Ian McKellen's performance as Blackbeard was exquisite.
Really?
I really enjoyed his performance as Blackbeard. However, in the negative, I must point out that Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, not so enjoyable.
Really?
Well, the main reason for that is, now, it did interpret some sea mythology. There is a sea god that is said to be named Calypso, who does sail the sea, and the Flying Dutchman is known to deliver souls to the land of the dead.
Have you ever seen the episode of Land of the Lost where the Flying Dutchman was there?
Oh, yes, I did see that.
That was kind of... Marshall, Will, and Holly had a run-in with the Flying Dutchman. They should have just boarded and got the hell out of the Land of the Lost.
I often wonder what kind of rum they were drinking when they made that.
I don't think they were drinking anything.
I don't think they were. I think they were doing some other substance.
That's true out there. We're not going to talk about that right now.
No. There might be children listening.
There could be out there. And speaking of that, now you go around and entertain the people, I'm told.
Yes, I do. I go to whatever venues that I can find to entertain people. I have performed at a group home in Concord, Massachusetts for Till Incorporated, and that show went over wonderfully. And I recently, back in May, performed, although I had to go airship for this one, at the Watch City Steampunk Festival in Waltham.
Wow.
Yes, and I must say, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but my performance was met with thunderous applause.
Even people who had hooks, right?
I'd say that again?
Even people who had hooks on their hands.
Yes, although it was...
Little clanging going on.
It was rather painful watching them try to clap their hands. It got a little...
You didn't want to high-five them on your way out.
Well, yes. Yes, that is true.
And now you have a YouTube page out there.
Yes, I do.
Give us the address so the world can see what you do.
My YouTube page is youtube.com/CaptainDavid31173. Now, I only have a couple of videos on there from a personal appearance I did on Sal's show and my performance at the Watch City Festival, but please subscribe to my page and please keep checking it, as there's going to be other videos coming up on there very soon.
Say any organization worldwide listening to this right now wanted to book you. What's your email address?
My email address is CaptainDavid31173@hotmail.com.
Unbelievable. Do you know who my favorite pirate was?
Who is your favorite pirate?
One-Eyed Willie from the Goonies.
He was very interesting, I must say.
He didn't have a lot to say, but he was obviously the focal point of that movie.
I agree, and I must say, to carry a movie like that and not have any lines, his performance was exquisite.
Unbelievable. I haven't seen acting like that since Quest for Fire.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And now, would you think Han Solo would be a pirate?
Han Solo definitely could be a pirate.
He used to smuggle stuff.
He used to smuggle. He used to womanize, which is always a plus.
That's right.
So, yes, I think Han Solo would be a very good pirate.
Unbelievable. I think that would be fantastic.
That would be interesting to see.
Now, Captain David Forkton has been our guest right here on the After Hours radio broadcast. And give this guy a call, email him, look at his YouTube page and book him because he's an unbelievable talent. Any parting words there, Captain?
All I can say is keep a weather eye on the horizon and to the open sea. Cheers!
Unbelievable. And we'll be back right after this. Hey fans, check out my YouTube page to relive 8 years of After Hours. See movie stars, playmates, and a who's who of talented individuals. Check us out at www.youtube.com/AfterHoursTC. And remember, here at After Hours, we never close.